No.
Okay. So how the Brookfield viscometer works is, you'll see there's a set of spindles.
Sure.
We call them spindles. It's like this, and what it does, the unit rotates the spindle in your sample. Okay.
Sure.
The more viscous your sample, the more difficult it would turn. So it means your viscosity is much higher. The less viscous, the easier the spindle would turn. I'm trying to explain this in the most simple manner. Okay. So there are 6 spindles here. So how do you know which spindle to use? Plus the machine can rotate at different speeds. Okay, what speed are you going to use? It's trial and error. Okay, but we will slowly go through it. Okay. We're going to start with this sample. I'll come back, there's another spindle set, I'll come back to that one after we've done this one. So it would flow. Okay, we don't know the viscosity of this sample, so we need to test it. Just a little bit of theory is liquids. There's 2 types of liquids. We call them Newtonian liquids or non-Newtonian liquids. Have you ever heard of those terms?
We have.
Okay. You have?
Yes.
But I'm still going to explain. Okay. So the easiest way for me always to explain the difference between Newtonian and non-Newtonian, and examples of Newtonian fluids would be water, thin oils, silicone oil, and there's some other products. Okay.
Sure.
But most other products are non-Newtonian in behavior. So the best way again to explain the difference is if I had to plot a graph, viscosity versus speed. You all know how to read a graph.
Yeah.
So viscosity versus speed. This speed would be the speed of the spindle, or we also call it the shear. So you shear the sample. If your sample is Newtonian in behavior, okay, it doesn't matter at what speed you test, your viscosity will always remain the same. Okay, but most products are Newtonian. So as you increase your speed, your viscosity will drop. Okay, so you'll have something like this. You do get different Newtonian types. Student plastic, you can read on the internet all the different ones. But most behave in this manner. Viscosity drops with increase in shear speed. It's if you would take cream or even your shampoo and you'll put it on your hand, as you rub it, it thins out. Viscosity becomes less. Okay. Imagine you had a Newtonian shampoo. If you put it here, you're just gonna move it along along your arm because it doesn't thin out. Okay. So now we're gonna test this viscosity. I want to do this. Want to see how it behaves. Okay. So again, a little bit of trial and error. I'm just going to choose the spindle number 4. I'm taking the middle range. So your big spindle is for your lower end, your lower viscosity range. Your small spindle is more for the higher range, and then obviously all the in between ones. Okay, so I'm just taking one in the middle, number 4. Okay, so the unit is on, there's an on button here. This is a very important point to take note of, is how to attach the spindle. Okay, you'll see here this coupling can lift.
Okay.
So you lift it and you hold it in place, and with your other hand you're going to screw the spindle on. It's left-handed thread, so it is lefty-tighty. Not righty-tighty, it's lefty-tighty. Okay.
Sure.
You guys can practice when we're done. I'll get
Sure.
each of you to come do a test. Okay. Then you'll see this thing. It's called the guard leg. So it attaches at the back of the unit. It's not always necessary. Okay. It fits in a 600 ml beaker. The formula for viscosity. Viscosity is this big formula that takes into account beaker size, spindle size, how far the spindle center is to the edge of the beaker, all these parameters. Okay. But because of this non-Newtonian behavior, you don't always have to use a 600 mil. If you set up your spec with a 250 mil, that's fine. Okay. But then you can't use this guard leg. This is just to protect the spindle from bumping.
Oh, okay.
Okay, because if you bump the spindle, you're going to hurt the internal.
But if you're testing without the spindle, it needs to be constant. I mean, without the guard.
Yeah.
All the time you test
Then you
without.
always test without the guard.
Oh, okay.
And if you set up your spec with a 250 mil beaker, you must just always test with a 250 mil beaker. Because it takes into account the diameter. Okay. But the unit was programmed, the viscosity calculation is programmed with this diameter of the 600 mil. Okay. I'm going to take it off. Okay. So I'm very careful. Then you're going to lower the spindle into your socket. You'll see on the spindle there's a mark. So each spindle has got a mark. So you would submerge the spindle up until the fluid level is on that mark. Then another factor. So when you lower, this is the helipath stand. So you press this lever and then you can lower it. Make sure to hold your hand underneath the viscometer so it doesn't fall. Okay, you have to guide it down. But I'll let you guys practice. Okay, just let it go down. And then I'm going to just show you one thing. Good to have something underneath. The helipath never goes down enough if you use it with the normal spindles. Do you have a book? Or a book?
What about this little box?
Yeah, it's just a little bit.
We have helipad spindles. We've got the helipad spindle.
I've got the helipath. I just wanted to raise the sample a bit.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't go down. I need to just.
A book.
Yeah.
Do you want to
Yeah,
put in the,
that one's not
in the
straight,
library books
so-
there, Kutsa? In the middle one there. There's
Yeah.
books there.
Because I just need.
That much.
I can actually add more sample. That would also
Well, what
help.
about a ream of paper? Or is that too much? It's too
What
thick.
he's got.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I just use the case.
Mm.
Use that glass, it will be more sturdy.
Astra.
Yeah, it's more sturdy.
This is very technical lab stuff.
But that one's more sturdy, it's more
Oh,
flatter
okay,
surface.
We're good.
You won't have
Thank
that
you.
one-
Thanks, Kusai. Okay. So I'm going to lower it straight down up until that mark. Now what sometimes happens, if you lower it straight down, a bubble would form. Okay, your sample is quite bubbly. A bubble would form underneath the spindle and that would affect the reading. So I would then take it off. Don't worry. So you would insert the spindle in a sideways manner. Okay. And that would avoid a bubble sitting.
Are you doing our job? Baby shampoo. Lipstick.
Okay. And we're on that mark. So the spindles are marked. They've got a number on it. Okay, so that's number 5. That's number 4. So this is quite easy. On this side it says spindle, so we just go to number 4. And then this side is the speed of the spindle rotation. It ranges, you've got an RV from 0 to 100%, and there's about 18 increments. Okay, so I'm just going to choose 10 RPM. We're doing trial and error. I just want to see if I have the right spindle. So 10 RPM spindle number 4, and we switch to the number. I think that was a good guess. So what I'm going to do, let's draw the graph, viscosity versus speed. So now I'm going to just lower the speed. Let's start at 2 RPM. Okay, so now I'm going to take readings at different speeds. does about 4 revolutions before you get a reading. And because 2 RPM, I mean, you can hardly see it moves. It takes some time to get a reading. But there we've got a reading. Okay. 11,700 CP. 11,700. Okay. Then I'm going to increase the speed. Let's put it at 4. Let's see what happens. About the same. Okay. See? Let's change it to 10.
What percentage are you wanting to get to? Sorry, I don't have a clue.
I will explain.
Oh, okay.
Now I just want to determine what type of fluid we have. So 11,500. So it dropped a little bit
Oh, so you're actually not looking at the percentage, you're looking at the
at the CP value.
CP
Yes.
value, okay.
Let's do 20. Oh, it's in EEE.
What does that mean?
Okay, so that means so inside there's a spring. We call it the spring of the unit. It's like a coiled
Okay.
coil spring. So that spring with a certain spindle can measure a certain range. Okay, so the EEE means it's gone above range. Yeah. The sample is too thick for this spindle and speed combination.
So the viscometers come in 3, every model comes in 3 ranges. The LV is for the low viscous sample.
Actually, you're going to choose the difference.
So the spring is specific to that LV model.
okay.
Then you get an RV, which is a mid-range, and then an HA or HV, which is higher viscosity.
Okay.
So you have to select the viscometer according to your sample range.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay, that makes
Yes.
sense.
So like you can't use, what's this one, an RV?
Yeah, it's an
You
RV.
can't use something like bitumen on this because bitumen is too thick.
Yeah.
Or if something like water would be too thin.
Okay.
You know, so this is for like the middle of the range
Yeah.
now.
So I got a good value for QC checks, but I just want to see if I use a different spindle if I can get a nicer graph. Okay. With the creams, you're going to see a nice.
What size is that one now?
This is number 5. So
5.
it's a bit smaller. Your viscosity is inversely proportional to spindle and speed. So if you're getting a too high torque value, you can either choose a smaller spindle or reduce the speed. But we're going to play with all of that. I just want to show you a nice graph of the behavior of your. Okay, so now that's spindle free. I'm going to start again at a slow speed. See what happens. Scrap this one.
So did you actually tell the machine it was a spindle or it picks it up automatically?
No, you have to tell it.
You have to tell it, okay, that it's that size spindle.
Okay. See, now you've got a completely different value. Okay, because it's that formula.
Yeah.
It all depends on what sample, what speed you use. Okay. Viscosity is not just a one value thing. It depends on different factors. The torque, that percentage reading, for accuracy readings, you shouldn't take, for reasons, you shouldn't take values where the torque is below 10%. Okay, just so anywhere between 10 and 100, it's fine. But I'm going to note that value down at 3 RPM. Okay, let's up the speed.
Sure, that spindle just hardly moves, eh? It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah,
it's like
it's
it's an optical illusion.
Also, when you do tests, it's better to do it at 20 RPM
Yeah.
and above. Okay? Let's speed up. Got some torque. Let's see, 12 RPM. Very flat. Let's just see what happens. Add some more. See, it's dropping, but not by much. You'll see like dishwash liquid. Is this a body wash? What
Yeah,
is
it's a
it?
shower gel.
Okay. First time I've seen. Not changed by that much. So 2590. Up again. Okay, E. Okay, so we've reached the point where we can't up the
Yeah.
speed. Okay, but we've got something. Some might say it's Newtonian because the values at each speed are quite close, but there's a little bit of a decrease in viscosity.
So it's okay if it's even a linear decrease. It doesn't need to be exponential decrease for it to be non.
Yeah, but I don't. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
So what we're seeing there from that graph is a shear thinning behavior, meaning that the gel is pseudoplastic.
Okay.
in nature.
Okay.
But what
But it's not at a great extent.
yeah.
It's-
what we also need to note about the current fluid that we're measuring is that there's a lot of air in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've got
Yeah,
gel and
problem.
then you have air and you have differing densities. And so because of that, the viscosity reading that you're getting is not actually the truest viscosity reading that you can have. Because what Brookfield would recommend is that that sample that you have must be completely free of air.
Yeah.
So before you run the analysis, put in an ultrasonic bath or some kind of shaker to get rid of
Okay.
the air.
Okay.
It's,
And the spindle won't create air bubbles as it's spinning thing.
no. Also, especially when you're dealing with thicker liquids,
Yeah.
what would also be advisable is when you are inserting the spindle into the gel,
To put it in an angle.
you insert it into the sample first at an angle,
Okay.
and then you connect it to your
Okay.
spindle.
Okay. So here's my graph. So what's the viscosity?
Well, it would then be non-Newtonian, but actually the pseudoplastic as you expect.
What's my viscosity value?
Oh, but
What would you record as the viscosity?
288.
27.
You know too much. Okay, so what I wrote here is the percentage torque I got.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's the viscosity, that's the viscosity, that's the viscosity, that's the
average of
viscosity. No. It all depends. Your viscosity is based on what unit you use, what speed you use, even what the temperature is,
Yes.
what spindle I use. So when you record, you say, okay, my viscosity is 2880 using spindle 12
A spindle 5
at
yeah,
spindle
5.
5 at 12 RPM.
Okay.
Or you record it as 2770 using speed 20, spindle 5. They are all fine because the torque was between 10 and 100%. For QC checks, if I had to choose my spec, I would go somewhere closer to 50% torque. Okay? Because then if your sample is thinner or thicker the next time, you've got some torque room to play with. You don't want to be close to 10, you don't want to be close to 100. Okay, so all these values are fine. But for you guys, it would actually be good to do the graph every time. And that's what we mainly call rheology of the sample. You've got a viscosity profile instead of a 1 point. Okay. So you can choose it. what if you have something that doesn't flow?
There's a high viscosity, so you're going to use the smallest.
Oh, okay. So if I use this spindle and I stick it in here, what is it doing?
It's creating a bend.
Yeah, like a hole. And then if you turn the spindle, there's not going to be any resistance.
So put it in the angle and then shape it.
But you're still going to create a hole as soon as you start moving the spindle. There is a solution.
What sample is that?
Sunscreen.
Sunscreen.
It's quite a thick sunscreen. It's not even in a sprayable, it's a tube.
So for sunscreens, because you can't use the normal spindle because it's non-flowing and it makes a hole, there's what Brookfield calls a helipass accessory. Okay, so you'll see this stand is a motor. Okay, and then you've got these thin, what we call T-bar spindles. See how thin and delicate. So the motor would move the viscometer head down and up slowly. Okay, and then while that action happens, the spindle would rotate. So you would rotate and go down into your sample. So you're going to hit new sample as you go down. So it won't be at one point where you can make a hole. You're going down into your sample. Okay. So this is what you would use for your non-flowing. So we've got there's some air pockets that might will affect your reading. So it's best to try. Don't know how you're going to get rid of air pockets in cream.
Yeah, that'd be very good.
It's a bit difficult. But your non-flowings, this is the most trickiest test. Okay. For viscosities, these non-flowings one. Except if you have a rheometer coning plate, it's much easier. Okay. So I try and have it up there. Now I need something hard. Maybe consider a little lab jack.
A jack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then again, this is trial and error. Let's see. I normally take the middle one. Where's that black?
You put it in the black.
I just want to see the spindle numbers. So this one is number 93, the third one. And then to attach, I want you just to come closer so you can see. This is really, it's easy. You've got these two parts, okay? They like this. But if you check the manual, if you forget how to do it, and there's videos, or I can come here again. So you'll stick this through the hole there. Stick that in there. Okay? And then you're just going to fasten it. Okay? And just give it a pull to see if it doesn't come out. Okay? And then feel how heavy this is. And you can imagine if you had to drop that, how easily the spindle would bend. So the first few times are difficult and you'll be nervous to attach it, but once you get the hang of it, it's quite easy. So again, you lift the spindle, you hold it there, and then what I do, because it's so heavy, I use these two fingers, my thumb and my pinky, just to hold onto it. Okay, just so it doesn't fall. So I'll turn it and then grab it with my fingers.
Also
And then
left
too
it
tight. Same one, yeah. Okay, until you feel it, it grabs it. Okay. Then you'll put your sample. So what we're going to do is, we're going to start at the top. We're going to lower up to a certain point, and this you need to determine. how far you would like to go in, and it's best to take a few values and get an average.
So there's no mark on that one.
There's no
Wait,
mark
so
on this one. We're going to start at the top. Okay, so I'll just lower it a little bit. You can see. We start there. Okay. And while that's good, we put spindle number 93. Speed. This is again trial and error. I want to do the trial and error and do the graph again. So I'm hoping I've got the right spindle. Do you know more or less what spindle to use if you look at the sample?
Oh, yeah, you try it, you know. I think the same as you. Yeah, maybe 92 or 93. Maybe.
Yeah, I've got 93.
Yeah, that should be fine.
I always take the middle one, then I know what side to.
Yeah.
Okay, then come look at the back. Come look here. You've got these what we call stoppers. Okay, they can move up and down. So you've got one at the top. So if this is your top level, you can put this one straight down. Okay. Then remember this is going down. So you don't want to go down too much where you're going to hit the bottom. So this is going to be the distance that this spindle will travel into your sample. So this we can up. So let's say we want to go this far in, we're going to go about there, in there. Okay. If this is too far down, you're going to hit break and so let's say we're going to do that distance. Okay, should be good. Then you'll see there's a pin here. Okay, do you see this one is out? You see it? Okay. Yes, so the motor will go down, it hits the stopper. Once this is in, it goes back up. Then that pin would be out, it hits the stopper, it goes back down, it goes up and down until you stop it. Okay. What's wrong?
So does the spindle need to be covered in the cream?
You don't have to. It's not a must. I've just put it there. Otherwise, your top reading you might also take when there's nothing.
Yeah.
But any case, wait for it just to go in a little bit,
And then start it.
and then yeah.
Because I can imagine make a bit more air bubbles
Yeah.
if it's not in.
But you can be creative and say, okay, if this is my top, I'm going this far in. You can take a marker and say, when it hits that mark, you take a reading, that mark, and that mark. You have to decide how you want to do it. Okay. We've got customers, I know one side. They don't even use the up and down, they just rotate in one spot.
Really?
Yeah,
And
they
then
get-
move it down,
They
and
get stable readings. Because it would be maybe for a little bit thinner, so it closes up quickly.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, and then the motor also has a button to run it. Okay. So you want to start here first. So we're going to switch motor on. So you can see it's running. Oh, I took my kids' papers.
Actually, we actually have a flip chart. I could have made you. Now that
No,
you
I thought it was load shedding last night, and I thought I took blank ones.
You just need to tell Mr. Huxley buy you like a tablet. You need to draw on that.
Yeah,
iPad.
I like pen and paper.
Yeah.
I like pen and paper.
Old school.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. Okay, so I haven't taken readings yet, and we're still just rotating at one point. So let's switch on, and then you guys must help me. Okay. So it's gone in a bit. Let's do 85,750. 85,750. What was the torque more or less? 34.
Yeah.
34. Okay.
91, 750. 96.
So let's take another reading. What was it? 91, you said?
96. 38%.
So, that's 50% off. So, 106, let's do 109, 500. Actually, you should get nice increments.
Yeah.
Now, this is just for training.
That was 43%.
Okay, 43. 114,800. 46. Let's see, has it gone up? Not yet. 116,800. Okay, it's gone up. So now we're going up. So let's do 10500. 44. You don't have to do so many. Okay. This is also just noting it down. That's about 50. Okay. So 111,500. Is it going back down already?
I think so.
No, it's going up.
Oh, is it still going?
It's so slight, eh?
Right.
43.7. I just want to see what the value would be as it comes out. Let's do 106.42. That's going back down. Okay, so here's my values. I would discard these two. I think it was more towards the top where it's thinner. Okay, so I would say that's good. Might be a better idea to start taking readings once you're like maybe halfway in. Okay, but they're more or less the same.
Yeah.
So now what I want to do is, let's take this one away. Let's take an average. Looks about 110. If I look,
Yeah, that's
110, 500. Remember, non-flowing products have got a big acceptable range. Okay. 110,500. Okay. 44% talk. Okay. So let's up the speed. Let's go 6 RPM. So now I'm just going to take a reading wherever it is close to the bottom. This is just to show you again how viscosity changes. So 75,500. 6 RPM. Let's up it to 12. See how much it dropped this time. 45 to 50. That's at 12. Let's up it some more. Take a reading here. 28,300. Let's up the speed some more. I'm not going to take a reading here because we're at the top. I'll take a reading when we go back down. So 30. Let's do one more speed. 50. Sorry, my be better in Excel. But any case, I think that point should be there. So we'll get that. At a stage it will flatten out the more you share it. Okay. So that is what we got. This is using spindle 93, which was a good one. And what were all the talks? I can't remember.
Does the torque also need to be above 10 to get a more accurate reading?
Yeah. Whatever, yeah. Any talk about. I think that was about 44% talk, and then it was like 50, 56. That one is 65. Maybe this was 50, 58. Okay, it's just an example. Okay.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to ask the question again. So what is the viscosity of this?
Any of
Sun-
them.
You said any of them, but again, I would choose like the 56 because it's closer to home.
On spindle 12.
Yeah.
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 Spindle.
Good. Just with helipath, don't you test above more than 12 RPM or 20?
Lower.
Yeah, not above
Not
12.
above, yeah, I
Or
think
not
12
above
12.
20.
Yeah.
I'll say 12.
Not about
No,
Yeah, you
above
don't want to
12.
go too quick in a non-flowing song.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it'll
Okay.
Oh.
So any speed 12 or below is good. Okay. But you don't want to go too slow,
Yeah, you
otherwise
gotta
you're
aim
going to
for
wait
the lowest,
forever.
the lowest speed possible.
Mm.
Doesn't vary.
No.
The lowest speed possible, and your
Because 2
top
RPM is
speed.
too slow.
Well,
I'll aim for 12. And
You
then
aim
maybe
for
change the spindles. to
it'll
see.
depend on your top.
So I would choose 12 as my speed and change spindles to see where I can get a torque closest to 50. Okay, so when you record it, you can either do the whole graph. Again, a rheometer pen plate is so much better for creams and much more accurate. But this is good. This is a standard used in many cosmetic personal care products. Yeah, we've got many customers using the helipath setup.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
I used to work in QC, right? So we used to work with feed.
Where did you work? The type of non-Newtonian parameter is what we call time-dependent samples. So you can have the same spindle, the same speed, but as your test runs, viscosity drops. So over time, viscosity drops. So that's why if you had to do a test and you take a reading after 30 seconds, but you do a test and you take a reading after 1 minute, you can have different results. So that is why you've got a time function. So you would also always take your reading after a certain time because of your sample that's time dependent. Some samples are not time dependent and you don't need a timer, but some are. Is that okay? Yes.